that why? Good. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Nebraska Savvy Seniors. My name is Alicia Crastle, and on behalf of our entire Nebraska Savvy Seniors team and our educational partners, we thank you for being here today. But before we get started, we'd like a raise of hands. Who has never been to a Savvy Senior seminar before? Well, welcome. Let's give a big hand to all these people that came the first time today. And is there anybody in our audience that maybe brought one of these people who have not been to a seminar before today? Did anybody bring a friend today? Raise your hand. Okay, well, you know, there's one, was there one over here? Okay, raise your hand so that they can see you. Okay. So what we do is we have some little gifts for people who bring a friend. So next time, let's see if we can empty this basket, okay? All right. Just a few housekeeping tips. The bathrooms are right outside. You don't have to raise your hand. This is not a formal classroom. You gotta go, just go ahead and go. And we'd like to thank Trusted Life Choices. Their booth, where's their table? It's right back there, because they brought refreshments for you today. So make sure you give them a big hand. And stop by and thank them on the way out today and pick up their information. And then on your table, you're going to see several pieces of paper. One of those is an evaluation. Please pick that up right now. We're going to just talk about that really briefly. I encourage you to look through this and start filling it out during the seminar. As ideas come up to you, you might want to check off some of those resources that you're interested in. We really rely on your feedback in these evaluations. They help us understand what topics are important to you, what resources you need, and how we can serve you better, and how we're doing as an organization too. We'd like to see all 5 stars up there. If there's something that's less than a 5-star, please put it on there, because we know we're human and there's always room for improvement. So your comments do help us shape our future seminars, our workshops, and our resources. So make sure you fill that out, and we do have a lot of resources that are available to you free of charge. And that's what we're here today, is to help you and provide you resources. And as you know, our mission of Nebraska Savvy Seniors is to educate, empower, and equip adults 55 and older to live their very best life. And we believe that getting older doesn't mean you're slowing down. It means we have the freedom, the wisdom, and the opportunity to enjoy life in many new and meaningful ways. And today, our seminar is called Wanderlust and Wisdom. Travel adventures for the young at heart. Who likes to travel? Don't we all like to get away? Yeah. So travel means something different to each one of us. And for some of us, it's finally taking that bucket list trip that you dreamed about for years. For others, it might be visiting your grandchildren, exploring a new city, taking a cruise, or just simply getting away for a few days with some friends. But as we age, travel can bring new questions, like how do we stay safe? How do we physically prepare for the long trip? What about our medications, our finances, any mobility concerns we might have? And what about those travel scams that are happening? And just planning for any unexpected things, because you just never know. So that's why we've assembled a wonderful panel of experts today who are going to share their knowledge and their experience with you. They have some practical tips to help you travel smarter, safer, and with more confidence. And as always, our goal isn't to sell you anything. Our goal is simply to provide you with the information, resources, and connections that help you make informed decisions for yourself and your family. So sit back, take some notes, relax, ask questions, but let's save those to the end, because we'll pass around a microphone so that everybody can hear your questions. And what's important about that is your question might be a question that somebody else is also wanting to know about. So save those for the end, and we're going to learn together today. So let's meet our panelists. First of all, we have Chloe Oxford. She's with Dream Destinations. Oxford, I say it wrong every time. Oxford Great Escapes, okay? Got that? Oxford Great Escapes. Okay, and then we have Betsy Spieler, and Betsy's a physical therapist and a senior fitness specialist. And then we have Tristan Toms. He's an investment advisor representative for Arkfeld Wealth Strategies. So those three are all important people for when you're going to plan a trip, because you want to know where you're going to go, how you're going to get there, how you're going to feel when you get there, right? And then how are you going to pay for that, right? So that's why they're here today. So we're just going to dive right in, but first I want you guys to each take the mic and just expand a little bit on who you are and what you do.
I'm Chloe Oxford. I am with Oxford Great Escapes. I have to give her a bad time every time because, believe me, she's not the only one that does it. So anyway, I have actually been doing travel advisory for several years now, and I actually started to focus on senior travel, and that came about because of my husband. His health has been rather poor in the last couple of times we've traveled. I've had to make sure we had accommodations for him. And it made me realize that that was something that I see people that don't do it, and then they get there and they think, well, what am I going to do now? How do I get from this place to this place safely and that way? So that's kind of what I've been specializing in, is a little bit more of the senior travel because of my husband. So.
Hi, I'm Betsy with Stay Strong Physical Therapy and Wellness. And I've been a therapist for almost 30 years, and so I've seen a lot of people with certain goals beyond the regular bend your knee better or improve your balance. People have life goals, right? Whether it's to do with where they live or what they want to do for recreation, which includes travel. So I started a practice where I can focus more individually on people. I see people for an hour under either physical therapy or training. And then I also do group classes. So some people will come into my group classes in order to kind of build up for a few months, but we'll talk more about that. I'm happy to be here.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tristan Toms, investment advisor for our Felwell Strategies. We're a locally owned investment firm, and what we help a lot of people with is going to be estate, legacy, and tax planning, and we'll get more into that, but happy to be here.
Thank you all for coming today. So Chloe, we're going to start with you. What are some of the biggest travel trends that you're seeing right now for us people 50 and older?
Well, ironically, I've actually talked to several people here today about this very, very specifically. The biggest thing is solo travel has started to be very trendy, and what's nice is they're accommodating for that. It used to be as a solo traveler, you still pay for two people regardless. They're now starting some of the cruise ships where they're dry docking them and making them ready to go back out on the waters. And they're actually doing some changing and creating solo cabins for the purpose of the solo traveler. So that's one of the biggest things. River cruising is becoming even more and more popular for people that are our age because it's nice to be able to, younger we kind of had a tendency to do the ocean cruises and travel to the different countries. People are now more interested in going through the countries, and a river cruise will take you through something, a country, an ocean takes you, to the country. And then the other one is guided tours that are becoming much more popular as well because they take care of all of our take care of our luggage. We don't have to haul it from hotel to hotel, and they're making sure we're keeping those places much more safer, and they are expanding so much more to those kind of tours. They're not just the 5 favorites that everybody does. There's so many other ones that don't know. So I say those are the 3 main things that are really trendy for people that are 50 and older: are the solo travels, the river cruising, and the guided tours.
Okay. So Betsy, we're going to go to you now. Many people assume that travel becomes harder as we age. What would you like people to understand about staying active and traveling later in life?
I think the concept of things becoming harder as we age there's some truth to that, yes, and we've all experienced that to some extent. But that is that because we've maybe not trained or done some strengthening exercises or kept our bodies in the physical condition to be able to do traveling like we used to? Or was there a medical condition maybe that has changed our tolerance and mobility? So just looking at how we can restore maybe some areas that we've dipped down in for strength and balance. How do we compensate for those things using devices or adaptive options? And then how do we just adapt? How do we travel differently? So having that open mind to say, still want to do this, but I might do it differently. So Chloe has a lot of options for that. But just restoring the things, work on it, prepare, compensate as you need to make it happen, and then adapt and kind of accept that it might be a little different, but you can still have fun.
Okay, great. And then Tristan, when people think about retirement planning, they often are saving money, aren't they? And they're building it up, right, for a rainy day. But why is it important for us to plan for experiences and enjoyment during retirement years?
Well, while it's it's important to have a strong financial foundation, it's very essential. It's equally important for individuals to plan for experiences, relationships, and activities that will bring purpose and fulfillment during retirement. Many people spend decades focused on careers and financial responsibilities, only to discover that retirement is a completely different type of preparation. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I've seen that success in retirement isn't measured solely by account balances. It's going to be measured by the quality of life that those resources that you've built over the year help create.
Okay. So Chloe, getting back to the travel portion, what types of trips seem to work better for people who want less stress and more convenience?
Well, kind of going back to the same things that we talked about before, the guided tours, those are so nice because they are taking care of everything. It's like, for instance, I had clients that just went to Iceland and they did a guided tour there. They were met at the airport. They helped them they grabbed their luggage, they took them to the airport, to their hotel, and they just basically didn't have to worry about anything. It's just like, these are the places you need to go. They also have plenty of free time to go and do a few things that they wanted to, but for the most part, everything was just taken care of, so there's no stress for it that way. And then, of course, the cruise, whether you're doing a river cruise in the U.S. or Europe or Asia or whatever, or even an ocean cruise, the one thing that I love about those is you unpack one time. I don't know about you guys, but I hate unpacking, and then you realize you get to the next hotel and it's like, oh shoot, I left my whatever at the last hotel. And so I love the concept of unpacking one time and still being able to go. My hotel just takes me to different places, but I really love that concept. And so those are probably the things for convenience and less stress that are just wonderful, whether you go as a group or whether you go as a solo or a couple or whatever. Those are the ones I like.
Is everybody able to hear okay? If you have trouble hearing, just kind of wave your hand and we'll make sure we speak up a little bit better, okay? All right, thanks, Chloe. So Betsy, what are some simple, stronger exercises that people can do to help them improve their stamina before they take a trip? Because we know sometimes trips involve a lot of walking and exercise.
Well, funny you ask. We're going to go over some of those in our little movement break today. But some of them is to prepare for maybe some unexpected things that you're not doing around your home. So if you live in a home with no stairs, then you could come upon stairs when you're traveling, that you might need to do, especially if you're going to older places where it's not as accessible. So working on step-ups, whether you have like a step into your garage or something like that, but working on stairs and step-ups is a great thing. Your endurance and being able to get up from a lower chair. A lot of restaurants in other parts of the world and parts of the country have 17-inch chairs, or you might go to a bathroom that has a 15-inch toilet that we all used to use, because now we all have theme music.
You're being paged.
Now we all have usually like 17-inch toilets in our home, and a lot of public places have those as well. So just being prepared to get up off of lower surfaces, so it's not so stressful, either emotionally or physically, to do that in new places. And then walking in crowded environments and on uneven surfaces, and we'll talk more about how to prepare for those.
We are pretty cushy in the U.S., aren't we? Yeah, we are. We have a cushy lifestyle sometimes. Tristan, how can someone determine whether travel realistically does fit into their retirement budget or not?
All right, it's a great question. You hear me say it a lot in Lincoln as well. It's going to be planned, and we're going to have fun with that today. Rather than viewing travel as an isolated expense, it should definitely be incorporated into your retirement plan overall. What that means is you need to stress test what you're planning out. Plan for inflation, market volatility, where your investments and funds are sitting at. Make sure they're able and there for you when the time comes. Doing this allows a lot of retirees to make informed decisions. And then when you go on the trip, you know everything's taken care of. You don't have to worry. And at the end of the day, it just makes it easier.
Okay, so how many of you have experienced any kind of change in your life? We can all guarantee everything is going to change, can't we? And that happens in travel too, doesn't it, Chloe? So how has group travel actually changed over the years, and why are more people choosing that now?
Well, it's a couple of things is just safety in numbers, of course, but they are, the reason it's one of the things that's really changed is the availability. It's really, they've become more and more available. It used to be you hear about people going on a trip and they did a guided tour, and it's like you might hear that every once in a while. And now they've made it so it's so comfortable and nice. And these charter buses that they use, you know, they're a little bit of a palace right on the wheels. They just take you everywhere you want to. And what's also nice, another reason that they've become so popular, is they have budgets that are, they can make costs that can fit almost every budget. So if you want to do more of a luxury one, you can do that. But they have ones that are in different budgets that are still wonderful. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things that's changed in group travel is just the availability and where you can go. I mean, it used to be you only saw them in certain places, and now you can almost go anywhere in the world or anywhere in the U.S. and do group travel.
Yes, anywhere. So Betsy, what are some simple exercises that we can do to improve our stamina before a trip that maybe involve a lot of that walking?
Well, a lot of it deals with getting out and doing more walking and building your stamina, but then adding in some variety that you might see in a vacation situation. So I have a handout on my table, but it lists some things on what you can do while you're walking. So doing intervals, like changing your speed, going fast and slow, working a little bit on inclines and declines. Maybe if you're using a cane or a walker, you know, practicing navigating through curbs and other things like that. And then also carrying a load, whether you're going to carry an over-the-shoulder bag or a small backpack, and then doing that. You know, weighted vests are kind of a big trend thing now, so you could just put on a little backpack and nobody would look at you funny at all in your neighborhood. So preparing, doing the things that you're actually going to be doing, and then walking at different times of the day. So some of you might be like morning walkers if you walk already, but then you might need to take another walk, maybe just even a 10 or 15 minute walk in the afternoon, and then again in the evening. You want to spread out that energy through the day that's going to be required of you, even on a group trip, that you may not do that at home. So getting your schedule used to that.
That's so true. We just came back from a trip with some friends and we walked all day long. So that's true. Well, we all make mistakes, sometimes big mistakes and sometimes little mistakes. And Tristan, I'd like you to address, what are some common mistakes that we can make when budgeting for travel or leisure activities?
Start off, like I said before, it's going to be planned. You know, I see a lot of times people make a mistake of treating travel as an occasional expense rather than incorporating and planning it in their whole retirement plan. And what I've seen that happen without a dedicated plan put in place. The budget for leisure activities, for travel, I've seen spending become inconsistent. And that over a long term places unnecessary pressure on your financial plan. And what I mean by that is a lot of people when they retire, they see they have a big bucket or a bucket of money sitting there they're able to pull from. In the early years, they pull from it, they travel, they don't really worry about it because they think they're safe. When you get in the later years of retirement, you see that dwindle down, and then pressure happens, and that's the last thing that we want to see. You're supposed to be comfortable in these years. There's no reason to have that extra pressure, so let's make a good plan for it.
Good. Well, Chloe, you book a lot of travel. I know you do. You're a busy lady. But what are some of the most popular destinations for seniors right now that you see a lot of people booking or at least inquiring about?
National parks. That's probably the number one thing that I'm seeing over and over. I have, especially for Nebraska, I have planned so many trips to Yellowstone. And they have been a blast because I grew up out there. So that's like one of my favorite things to do. But just be able to enjoy, I think people finally are really wanting to just really enjoy what we have here. Especially when we get older, a lot of people say, I really not want to get on and go over to, maybe to a foreign country right now because maybe you did that while you were younger, and it's like, now I want to see the United States. And that's kind of domestic travel. I've seen people love to go to museums, and when I say museums, of course, most people think art museums or that kind of stuff. We have so many cool museums. I mean, I think of Minden and the Pioneer Village there, and that was, I lived out there for 23 years and never went, and finally we took our family and went to the lived here in Lincoln, and that was so dang much fun. I mean, it was just fun because, oh my gosh, I remember that when I was little. And so there's so many different types of museums out there. People are loving that. And then of course the theater. Yeah, people really are finding that they're really enjoying this. We want to go someplace so we can go to the theater here or the theater there. Those are the types of things they like to see, the shows, maybe like in Branson or something. So those are really popular, and those are the kind of requests I get a lot of. Domestic, the river cruises in the U.S. is probably right up there with the national parks. Those are probably the two I get the most questions on.
Remember that commercial? I'm gonna date myself here. It went something like, see the USA in a Chevrolet. Remember that? You guys remember that, don't you? I know you all do. Okay, we're gonna move on to Betsy here. Betsy, many destinations involve uneven surfaces and long walks. What can people do to improve their balance and that confidence in walking to make sure that they don't fall when they're away?
Well, besides working on balance and balance exercises, which I have a few on the handout too, walking with like head turns, turning side to side, multitasking, talking with someone. We might pick up our phone and look up something, while we're walking. So figuring out if you need to stop or if you need to, plan a little bit different for that multitasking. But one of the biggest pieces of equipment that I think is an unknown thing or not very common in Nebraska is having walking poles or hiking poles. And some of you probably are familiar with that, but I brought a pair over there and I'm going to show them to you a little bit later. But they really disperse energy, and we're going to talk more in depth, but having those as an option for you on uneven surfaces is great. So I went to Europe 2 years ago. I took our adult kids on a bucket list trip, and I saw people probably 40 and up, 40s to 80s, using walking poles in the middle of town because there's a lot of cobblestone streets, uneven pavement. So it was just encouraging to see people using what they needed to use to feel confident. Because if you don't feel confident, you're going to be worried, you're going to be nervous, and you're not going to have as much fun. So practice before using them, and then just take them with you.
Okay, well, while we're keeping our balance on the sidewalk, Tristan, can you tell us how retirees can actually balance their money and enjoying that today while still protecting that long-term financial security?
Yeah, most definitely. I want to start off by like a show of hands. Who here actually plans yearly with somebody to make sure that they have a budget set in place for their travel expense? Does anybody do
Raise
that?
your hand if you made a plan.
See, that's wonderful.
Good.
That's where we start off at. That's great. I think it's very, very important for individuals to recognize retirement's not a static event. Markets are going to fluctuate, inflation's going to change, the purchasing power, and as you guys all know, life's going to change, your personal goals are going to change. So with that, I mean, it's very, very important to review at least one time a year with your advisor or somebody that you trust to go over your financial plan and make sure that you're still on track, that things aren't changing, and then we don't have anything jump up and scare us.
Good. Well, Chloe, what should travelers know about travel insurance Is it something that we should get? Is it important, or is it just a waste of money?
It's very important. It's not, a lot of people say, well, travel insurance has stuff to do with just the trip cancellations, or if there's luggage lost, or travel delays, and the 24-hour emergency assistance. And of course, there's the medical part. And I have had a lot of people say, well, I've got insurance, I'll be fine, or I have Medicare, I'll be fine. What they don't understand is that is not going to be something you can use in another country. And when you're on, and I'll use a cruise ship because that's where I hear that the most. Once you're on a cruise ship, you're considered an international place. Even though you're going into ports of call that are in the U.S., it's still considered international because it's international waters. If you have to get medical help on a ship, it's very expensive, just like it is in other places as well. So it's really important to understand that if your Medicare probably is not going to work outside of the U.S., so that's important to understand that. And I'm going to give you an example of why it's also very important. I have one of my solo travelers. She goes, she retired a couple years ago, and she planned out, I'm going on this trip, and she could hardly wait. And the day she retired, she was like 3 weeks later, she had this trip all planned out. She was at the airport, going up the escalators to go and get on her airplane. She was still at her home airport. She fell and broke her arm. And she's like going, well, I'm still going. So they wrapped it up. They got her wrapped up. They got her on the airplane, and off she went. Of course, in the meantime, I was looking. I knew where she was going to be. We were sending her to New York, so I found an urgent care. So when she landed, she could go have it looked at it again, make sure that they had wrapped it well, that they had done all that. She's like going, I'm going. I'm not going to not go. Well, of course, yes, it was broken. And they said, well, we can't really do anything right now because it's so swollen. They needed to get it down, so they wrapped it and put a brace on it and iced it. So there was another expense there. And then she had some things that she had to do throughout the trip. When she got home, they did the surgery, had to put some pins in and all that stuff. And that was all covered under her travel insurance. Had she not had that, she says, I don't know what I would have done because it would have been, she had no out of pocket because there was no deductible and stuff. And so that's one of the reasons I find it really, really important. I've had a few people that have used it for delays and stuff like that. It's the one thing that I get a purchase that I hope you never have to use. It's like the one thing you want on your itinerary that you hope you don't actually have to use.
Okay, Betsy. Well, you're going to talk to us about these walking poles. I've seen people using them, and I just thought they were getting ready to go skiing and doing pre-ski exercises. So, Betsy, can you explain the benefits of the walking poles and who might benefit from using those while traveling?
Well, there's kind of a list of benefits. It provides obviously some more balance. It gives your body more feedback and points of contact. So besides just your feet on the ground, you've now got both hands also feeling the ground through the poles. So you can walk pretty normally, just arm and leg movements in a normal pattern. And then it helps with your posture, especially if you're getting fatigued through the day. If you're not used to walking 12, 15, 20,000 steps a day, it can really take some stress off of your joints, stress off of your knees. If you're doing inclines and declines, it's very helpful for taking stress off your knees and your hips and sometimes your low back. So using it just for mechanical advantage of those things. I think in a crowded or busy environment, it gives you a little diameter of like a bubble, right? People aren't gonna bump into you if you've got got the poles right by you. They can see that and they're gonna be like, okay, well, I'm not gonna just knock into somebody or be careless. Not that they're going to treat you like you're fragile, but you're just going to take up a little more space in a crowded environment, even if you're just using one. And so it's kind of nice to have that as a little safety thing that gives you some confidence that you feel a little safer in a crowded or uneven environment. Because that's where it happens, is where you're in a crowded environment and it's on uneven surfaces. So it's like a double whammy. Sometimes it's loud, and then you can't. Is anybody, if they can't hear very well, they think they can't see very well? You turn down the radio in the car so you can see better? I don't know what it is, it happens. Our brain really wants to focus on one thing at a time. And on vacation, we have so much to focus on. So practicing with those walking poles and using them even for city walking, not always for mountain hiking, not necessarily, can be a great option. I just purchased them, they didn't come in time, but I purchased collapsible ones. It's almost like a little bit bigger than my water bottle here. They collapse down, and you can stick them in a small backpack or purse, and take with you. So when you go into a restaurant, you just fold them up, and you can stick them there, or if you're gonna go to a museum, you can put them in your bag and do your tour. So they're kind of an as-needed accessory, which I feel like is very helpful.
Well, that's great that you can pull them up so you're not tripping on them later like I would probably do.
Right, yes.
And do you suggest wearing a backpack or a fanny pack then, so you're not, like I got my purse and I'm not gonna with those poles?
Kind of depends on where you're going and how many things you need to take with you. So a crossbody purse, because for safety when you're traveling in a crowd, you want your things close to you. So a crossbody purse that might fit that, or a small backpack. And then in a crowd, some people wear that backpack on the front, so that nobody's getting in your backpack back there. Or you put like a carabiner on the zippers. There's safety options even if you have a backpack zipper. But yeah, I usually, one person in my group will usually have a backpack, so we have a bottle of water and some snacks.
Yeah, good idea. Okay, all those things to think about. Well, Tristan, what are some ways that actual tips that you might have that people can begin setting aside some funds for travel, even if retirement's still a few years away? Or if you've already retired and you didn't put it away before, how can you do that?
Well, I think the most important thing to start with is, number one, start putting money aside. Be ready for that. And number two is think about what you want retirement travel to look like. I mean, I see it all the time. Individuals, surprisingly enough, spend more time coming up with what they want their vacations and travel to look like than they do actually paying for retirement in itself as a whole. So a big thing to think when you are looking at travel plans is get detailed on it, and then also make sure your money is sitting somewhere where what we call is liquid. So when you need it and it's ready to travel, we can press a button and the money's there for you here in a couple days. It's not tied up, you're not having to pay taxes and stuff like that and worry about it. Click a button, you call somebody, and you're ready to go. And obviously, like I said, the earlier that we do start, the more flexibility that we have when it comes to those trips. You're not nickel and diming, you're ready to go, and you enjoy the time that you're meant to spend.
Okay. So, Chloe, we have one more round of questions, and then we're going to take our little break. What advice would you give someone who hasn't probably traveled in a few years, and they might be nervous about starting that again?
Well, there's a couple of ways you can kind of ease yourself back into that. One is just maybe plan a 3 or 4 day trip. Join a group tour that's just doing a run down to Branson or to Chicago or something like that. Or if you want to fly somewhere, find a place that you can go that's a nonstop. Because a lot of times people are more nervous about the flight that they haven't been on for a long time, and then you have to switch planes. That always creates a little bit of anxiety. So find it someplace if there's a nonstop flight, and go spend a couple of days. That way you're just 3 or 4 days away from home. You're doing that, and even just like a day trip. And I will put a plug in for Savvy Seniors Nebraska State Fair trip. That's a day trip. If you haven't done something for a long, long time, start getting ready using the information that Betsy's telling you. And plan on going to the Nebraska State Fair for a day. We're going to have a chart that'll get you an idea of how you feel being on for a day and that kind of stuff. So start with something small. It doesn't have to be a great big trip. Start with something shorter days or just even a day trip to kind of get yourself out there to make sure you're ready to launch and do a few more after that.
Yes, everybody should have a flyer on your table about the state fair trip. Those trips are filling up. I think we only have like 15 slots, and we have like till the 30th of June, okay? So if you want to go on the trip with us, we're going to have so much fun. The bus trip on the way there and back is going to be just as fun as the state fair. We're going to see Casey and the Sunshine Band, Bill Crastle, the Elvis guy is going to be out there, Hey, who's not been to the state fair since they moved to Grand Island? Okay, we need to all go. Fill it out. Let's go together. It's going to be fun. And we'll have you back here before dark, okay? Well, maybe close to dark. Yeah. Okay. So, let's see. Yeah. Betsy, what accessibility options are available today that many travelers might not even realize they exist?
There are so many that I made a separate handout for it. So there's so many. So there's things at airports, cruise ships, hotels, trains, the Uber, Lyfts, like car services. A lot of those places will have accessibility or ADA compliant services and rooms. So I just spoke with a client yesterday. He wants to go on a trip with his family to North Carolina in October. So that's one of his new goals. He walks with a walker. He has somewhat of a cognitive deficit. So he has some memory issues. His wife is his main caregiver in a lot of ways. He's physically able to do things, but she's worried. You know, he's worried about her working so hard, and they're gonna go with more family. But we talked about how at the airport, you know, they have transportation that will take you right up to the door of the airplane. They'll deliver you to the door of the airplane, but then the plane is also required to provide an aisle wheelchair. Like if for some reason you couldn't walk a few, you know, steps into the middle of the plane, they can put you on an airplane wheelchair. It's a really narrow wheelchair, and they'll wheel you right to your seat. So as long as you can transfer, so you always wonder, like, how do people break a leg on vacation, and how do they get home? Well, this is how. They can, as long as they can transfer with some help, then that wheelchair can also take you to the bathroom if needed. So, you know, people wonder if they go somewhere, am I gonna get stuck, and how do I get home? There's a lot of support. If you're medically stable, right, that's two different things. If you need medical attention, well, you can hire a nurse to come with you. There's people like me that can be hired to come with people on vacations to make sure that their travels are smooth, if they have some mobility issues or medical things that need someone to keep tabs on them. So a lot of people don't know that those people are available. And then the extra help on the airplanes, that's something that people don't always know about. Let's see. Oh, the one thing that was new to me on cruise ships, they'll have an accessibility coordinator. So somebody that's their main job. They are just dealing with people who might need X, Y, Z accommodations. They make sure they're in place, that they're your point person, your go-to person if you have any questions. And then one other thing is that there's a hidden disability sunflower lanyard that is recognized in a lot of airports. You're nodding your head, you know about that. So sometimes you have a hidden disability. You might look just pretty healthy on the outside, but maybe your energy level, you know, maybe you have a heart condition and you need the transport, you know, in the airport because you can't walk very far. Or maybe there's pain in your feet and you can't walk very far. Or a loved one might have a cognitive issue that is not visible or not very apparent, and so they have this little lanyard you can get from the airlines, and the employees know. They don't make a scene or ask you uncomfortable questions. They're just gonna know. It's unspoken that, okay, this person might need some accommodations. We don't know what those are, but we're gonna have a lot of grace and graciousness for them and help them a little bit more. So I thought that was really wonderful to find out.
Wow, I didn't know all that. That is really great to know. Great, good news. So, Tristan, everybody knows that we have fun, enjoy ourselves on vacation. Have you seen some actual examples where travel and meaningful experiences improve someone's overall retirement satisfaction and their quality of life by enjoying some of this?
Yeah, most definitely. These are some of my favorite conversations to have with my clients, besides maybe making a good investment for them that changes retirement completely for them. But at the end of the day, this is exactly what those funds are intended for. And this is why you worked your butt off your whole life and set aside funds to do. This is time for us to enjoy it. I see very, very often, I've got clients who take annual trips once they retire by themselves, with their family, with friends. And what I can see that what happens is you share these experiences with your family and create memories that are strengthening that we didn't do before. And it just, makes everybody connect more. Another thing I see a lot with my clients is they do seasonal living. A lot of people will move to warmer states when it's cold and vice versa. And that's been really, really good because it's given a lot of people a renewed sense of purpose, routine, and engagement during retirement that I feel like a lot of people miss out on. You work all those years in a structured day-to-day life, and then often we see travel helps replace that rhythm. It gives you excitement, something to look forward to. I've seen it very, very helpful. But yes, this is what we've worked for. This is the time to enjoy it, guys.
Good. Okay, well now we're going to take a little exercise break, and Betsy is going to lead us in this. And she has a great way of kind of loosening us all up and kind of waking us up for the second half. So you can do this at your own speed, participate how you can. And then Betsy, do you have music today? She usually has some fun music.
I'm working on it.
Okay. So go ahead, and do we need to stand up yet, Betsy? Everybody stand up?
Yes, everybody kind of get the kinks out a little bit. Like Anisha said, this is all at your own pace. If you just want to watch some of it or do something that feels good for your body, you don't have to join me. Let's see. Well, we're going to go over some travel appropriate exercises. So if you want to stand in front of your chair, we're going to warm up a little bit. So stand where you can it'll be right behind you. All right, so we talked about warming up sit to stands. I want you to do several in a row. 3 to 5, up and down. 3 to 5, up and down. Depends on how fast you are. Good. Remember, at home, you're going to find a little bit lower chair to work on this. To make this harder at home, you might do it with a weight. Okay, you might hold a weight. You got to get that backpack. You're carrying that backpack. You got to stand up with your backpack. Okay, so that's a little key to do. When you're walking, let's do a little walking exercise. So we're not going to move from our spots. We're just going to walk in place. If you need to have a hand on something, not someone, something, look side to side. You're enjoying the scenery. Looking at all the old buildings, the people. Now stop for a second. Recenter yourself. Now you have to look up and down. You're in Paris. Oh, the Notre Dame is so tall. Look at the Eiffel Tower. So many things. Looking up and down. Is anybody surprised by that? How that can kind of throw off your equilibrium a little bit? That's a big deal. Suitcase deadlifts. You're gonna do a little pretending because nobody brought weights, and I didn't want to bring enough for all of you. That would have been my workout for the day. But if you're holding something in your hand, pretend you have something in your hand. I want you to go do a little squat, like you're gonna put it down and pick it up. This is one of my favorite exercises. This is in my group program now. We call them suitcase deadlifts. And we hold kettlebells and weights and do this. All right, we're gonna switch hands. Pretend on the other side. 5 times, up and down. Stick those hips back. Now, at home, you can actually get your suitcase out if you really want to make believe. But a little tote bag goes a long way. So I might have a little bag here, and I'll hold that instead of a weight. And you can put anything in a bag. I don't care. But load it up with cans from your kitchen or some tools from the garage. Anything you want to. You can make it a little heavier, especially if you just have small dumbbells. Put them all in a bag, and then they'll be useful.
Yeah.
can, but getting those shoulders so that you can reach up into the overhead compartment if you need to. Okay, we're gonna do the other one too. Switch hands, other hand. Now, there might be somebody nice on the airplane that's gonna help you get that heavy suitcase down, and that's fine. But if you're preparing and you wanna be able to do some of this yourself, then you might need to work on it a little bit. So then we might take a weight. It did not dent, so that I was really nervous about that. Anyway, taking a weight and going overhead, you can do one at a time, you can do both at a time. But getting those shoulder joints up, you don't want to pull a muscle on your trip and then be kind of limping around and favoring it the whole time. So some of it's just getting your body ready to do the things that you don't always do at home, okay? Carries. This is one thing too. If you're holding something in your hand, those of you that have a bag or have a purse, if you could pick it up, hold it in your hand. I mean, you're doing this when you're shopping. But if you load a little more weight into that hand and walk around, and just do laps at your house, take a backpack with you in the neighborhood, and then you'll switch hands, use the other hand. So when we do this for exercise, you want to do something heavy that's going to work your core muscles, because your core muscles are keeping you straight up and down, right? It's easy with something that you carry around all day, but you want to add, so this is where I would load all those little weights into a bag here, and get it to be like 20 pounds, and just carry it and march in place in your house. That's going to help you just build stamina. You want to have more strength than you need. Because if you're operating at 100% of your capacity or 90% of your capacity on vacation, you're going to be too exhausted to enjoy it. So that's always a good thing. All right, let's go back to, let's see, I have too many choices today. I like the tandem walking, so if you can put your feet heel to toe, and you can just hold that here because we're not going to walk around the gym. That might get a little excessive. But trying to balance that way for a few seconds. Switch it, switch your feet. Hold on if you need to. Everybody has their own bodily authority here to do what you need to do. We had some fancy Nancy's back there having fun. I know I don't have my music today. All right, switch it back. And again, last time, switcheroo. All right, our last thing, you can use a little something to hang on to, up and down on your toes. Getting those ankles in shape. And a lot of people, when you're sitting and flying, you might have some swelling in your feet that you didn't have at home. So doing just heel raises, if you have to stand in line places, just kind of pump those muscles a little bit. And then you can rock back a little on your heels. This is a little trickier sometimes with balance if your ankles are stiff. All right, last thing is a stretch. You can hold on or you don't need to. 1 foot back. I'm kind of in a lunge position here. Okay? If you're sitting a lot, you might tighten the front of your hips. Your calves might be a little tight. So you feel that back in the calf muscle and the heel cord. Good, switch it up. This is a great stretch if you have to sit a long time. I do this one often. Okay, thank you guys for playing along and participating. Oh, yeah, Alicia, can I just demonstrate the walking
Sure,
pose?
yeah, she's going to demonstrate the walking pole.
Chloe reminded me. So, this kind of assistance is amazing. So the walking poles you usually fit, so your elbows are about at 90 degrees. These are just a tad bit short for me. I'm going to show you how I would walk with them. So I'll use these are the ones that I have in my clinic. I'll use these to wean people from a walker to a cane sometimes. Because with a walker, you're not swinging your arms are static in front of you on the walker. And then when you get to the cane, it's only one arm assistance. Sometimes it's not enough. So sometimes we'll bridge the gap and just practice some walking with the walking pole. So they have lots of use. But consider that, I just ordered mine off Amazon for $30. There's anywhere, you can find a decent pair for $30 to $50, which is a drop in the bucket when you're considering travel expenses. So if you have any questions about that, talk to me afterwards.
Great. A lot of options, a lot of good ideas here today. So Flo, sometimes there's a downside of some travel things like scams. And they're becoming more and more common. We just had a seminar about scams, but especially online. What are some of the biggest travel scams that people should watch out for now? And how can they protect themselves when they're booking travel trips?
Well, it's not just online. There's the phone calls too that happen. But one of the things that is happening right now in the travel industry, and it makes me so angry. Scams just make me so mad. I just want to find them all and just get rid of them all. But anyway, one of the things that's happening is like the hotels or the resorts are contacting the person and saying, hey, we don't have you, or we don't show that you have your final payment. We're going to cancel because you didn't pay the final payment. Or they'll say, or they'll try to get you to switch. You know what, we'll offer you this and this for X, Y, Z, and they try to get you to switch and pay more money. And those are probably the two most common ones that happen. And so my recommendation is, I always tell people, I would love to be your travel agent, but if it's not me, get somebody that you can know and trust as a travel agent. Don't just, it's get to the point where, yes, it's easy to book stuff online, but it's just not safe because of the spoofing of different, people are actually starting to spoof different websites and that type of stuff as well. And so they'll think that.
And sorry, you mean like they're impersonating them? The spoofing?
Yes, thank you. When I say spoofing, I mean that they're creating websites that make it look like that they are the official website. And what's nice is your travel agent. If you have a travel agent that is certified in that type of stuff, we have numbers that we call that we know are legitimate. And so, for instance, I have a friend that recently had a client that got a phone call. They were heading to the Caribbean. They were going up to a resort. And the resort, not really, but the resort called and said, you have a balance, and I think it was $5,000, and you'll need to do that, or we're going to cancel your reservation. It needs to be taken care of today. Well, the lady panicked and going, oh my gosh, I thought I made that payment, to my travel agent, and she gave them her credit card.
Wow.
She then was very angry because she thought about, why did my travel agent do this? And she hung up the phone and called her travel agent and goes, it's paid in full, and we immediately realized that she'd been scammed. Unfortunately, even though she called her fairly quickly afterwards, she never recovered her money over that. And so my suggestion is, if somebody calls you and you say, I'll call them directly, don't get the phone number from the person that you're on the phone with, because they're going to give you a number that's going to go back there. Call your travel agent and say, hey, they called and this is what they're telling me. That way they can make sure that if it's legitimate, get it taken care of. If it's not, then you have made it so you are not going to get scammed. And so it's very much, they're even trying to scam travel agents. This is the new one is that we have, as travel agents, we're getting emails or whatever from potential clients that say, hey, my family and I would like to go here, and we want to go in 2 weeks, give you all this information, what can you do for me? Well, immediately, there are some travel agents that have fallen for it. Fortunately, I don't know if I'm just lucky that I recognize scams right off the bat or not, but that goes both ways, and so it's very important that you just be alert. Look, if you get an email, make sure it's actually the spelling is correct, or that type of stuff. There's so many things you can do to prevent that, but it's definitely something, the way that I feel like you can avoid it the most is get yourself a trusted travel agent. And like I said, whether it's me or not, I don't care if it's somebody here in town, find somebody that you trust and become a travel agent. It's worth protecting yourself.
Yeah, very important. So Betsy, you talked. Are we turned up here? Can you hear me? Okay. So Betsy, you're talking about getting prepared physically, but let's talk about the mindset for a second here. What would you say to someone who says, you know, I'm just too old to travel, I'm too slow, I'm too whatever, I could never do that trip anymore?
Well, it's all about perspective, correct? You have to look at things. You might not be able to do it exactly like you did it 20 years ago, or if you're redoing a vacation that you did a decade ago or several decades ago. And you have to come to terms with that if your mobility has changed. And I always think, well, if you think you're too old for something, then you're right, because that's what you believe. And we believe what we think, right? So you have to change your thinking. Age is a piece of data. Age is not a determining factor for if you can go, if you're eligible to go. There's other factors that we need to look at and maybe make adaptations to things that we've talked about today. So it might look different. So changing your mindset to, I want to go, even if I have to do it this way, I'm still going to enjoy myself.
Very important. And with Tristan, with inflation happening, I mean, the price of everything is going up, isn't it? It affects travel costs too. So what advice would you give to retirees who still want to travel, but they are on a budget and they don't want to overspend?
It's a great question. I think a lot of us hear about inflation all the time. I think my associate Nathan and I were doing some reading this morning, and we saw that inflation, or consumer inflation over the last month, was up over 4% in the last month, which is insane. So it's noticeably made travel more expensive in recent years, but that doesn't mean you give up, those experiences. However, it does mean that you need to be more intentional and flexible when you approach these type of ordeals in travel. And from a planning perspective, a well-structured financial plan is going to account for rising costs, and it's going to be adjustable. But I think a really, really important thing here is your investments need to make sure that they are outpacing inflation. So your money's not dwindling, it's actually growing. So I think it's very important for everybody to review at least yearly with your advisor or somebody you trust, and understand where your money actually is. If it's in an ETF, a mutual fund, or if it's in the individual stocks. If it's not outpacing that inflation, retirement's gonna look different.
Good advice. Chloe, you probably get lots of calls from panicked people when they do something, make a little mistake online when booking travel. What mistakes do most people make most often when they try to book some of those complicated trips online?
Well, there's usually about 3 things that are probably the most common ones that I hear about. The first one is pay a property. There's so many resorts, or depending on where you're going, like in Florida, in Orlando area, all the hotels have what they call pay a properties. Almost all of them to say. And when you're booking them online, whether you're booking through a travel agent or not, that cost is not collected via online. It's something that they have to collect in destination. And so it's really important to be aware of those. That happens with resorts and that type of stuff as well. The next one that I think is transfers. Okay, I'm at the hotel now, how do I get to the hotel? I'm at the airport, how do I get to the hotel? I'm at the hotel now, how am I going to get to the museum, or how am I going to get to the ship, or how am I going to do that? So I'd say that's probably the other one that people just don't consider or think about what's available and what can be pre-booked and what doesn't get pre-booked. And then the other one is looking for the cheapest. The cheapest always ends up costing you more because they nickel and dime you to death. What cheap? On the other side of that, oh, I just found a really cheap flight to such and such. Oh, but I have to pay for my carry-on, and now I have to pay an additional for this and additional for that, because you literally are just paying for a seat and then everything else, and even sometimes the seat costs additional. So those are probably the 3 main ones. Is the hidden costs, the pay of properties, and transfers are the main missing elements. there's also things that, especially as senior travelers that I have seen frequently and recently, is when they book their home, they book a hotel or something like that, they get there, and they happen to be in a place that has no elevator. Or they have, or they don't have any, except they're just not accessible. And so, things like that are things that need to be watched out for and need to be looked at. And sometimes it's not written and very obvious. One of the things that I do, and several that my friends that are also travel agents, we always write to the hotel and get information to make sure that it is the right fit for the client and what their abilities are at that point.
Good information. Betsy, what should people know about some power mobility options like scooters and devices that can actually help conserve that energy that you want to use on your trip?
This is a great question. It's some of the unknown things that you might not have considered to make travel more accessible, especially to big places like national parks or big tours. So if you have a condition that walking for a long distance can be painful or fatiguing, you can purchase or buy or rent a small lightweight power chair. So they make power chairs. People used to think that the only way you could get a power wheelchair is through insurance. Well, you can buy it on Amazon and have it at your doorstep tomorrow if you really want to. And they're anywhere from like $2,000, probably upwards of 10, but there are collapsible, portable power wheelchairs that are about 40 pounds even. They're not super heavy, so 2 people could lift it, or if you have family going with you, they can help transport it. There's also rentals when you go to major cities and major airlines and major cruise ships and stuff. You can rent scooters and power chairs and even walkers. They can be delivered to your hotel. They can be delivered to the dock for the cruise, things like that. So those are all things, you would line up reservation ahead of time, and a travel agent might know your resources for that. And then the other thing is to practice. If you've not driven a power chair, it's not very easy. It's really not. It's like a joystick. It's like playing a video game, but you're sitting in the game. You're sitting in the game, and all of your friends and family are also in the game. So you have to, at your toes, yeah. So you have to be aware of how to turn, how to navigate all the things, all the environments we talked about earlier. You have to navigate it sitting in a power chair that maybe is not your primary mode of transportation. So it's a decision that takes some planning, because you have to practice before you go. Whether you rent one here or if you purchase yours, and if you're not safe to drive around your own house in it, I wouldn't trust you in a hotel. That would, you don't want to damage their walls either. But it's very accessible. I've had people purchase them on their own, just with cash. I have a client right now, he has a neurologic condition in his feet, but his vision is good and his cognition is good, and so he just purchased himself a $3,000 wheelchair, and he gets it in and out of his SUV and checks it on the plane, and they just go. They're just making it work, right? It's a mindset thing. He just found a way, a tool to make it work. So there's lots of different versions of that.
Make it work, I like that. Well, Tristan, how should people think about those large bucket list trips when they are creating that retirement income plan?
Well, you guys heard me say it earlier, it's going to be planned, and let's get very detailed about it. And let's not push it off. Once you get into retirement, do it as early as you can, and make sure you take full advantage of those big trips that you've been waiting for. When we get really detailed, talking to a travel agent, looking at insurance, any type of detail you can think of. I know I've said it already today, but go to somebody that you trust. I've got clients who come to me, I'm a sounding board for them. If it's selling a company, buying some new investment real estate, or even going on a trip, I can go through and kind of confirm things for them, make sure everything's structured properly, and that they feel confident on their trip, and they don't have any last hiccups, that might disrupt the fun that they're at.
Okay, and Chloe, back to you. We're almost done here. How do cruises and guided tours help remove a lot of that stress that people have when they're traveling?
Well, I mentioned it a little bit, talking about how like on a cruise we can unpack once, and that just removes reduce a lot of stress. And, you know, Betsy was saying some of the things that could be delivered to the ships, those things can all be so prepared for you ahead of time that it makes things less stressful. You know, you can, with the tours and stuff like that, we let them know ahead of time so that they have all of those pieces in place. So you don't have to worry about the little tiny details. And you can just go and enjoy yourself without having to worry about all of those things, because if we know about them and we can prepare for them, then you don't have to worry about them because they'll be taken care of, and you can just enjoy yourself. And that makes it's quite easy to do that with the guided tours and the cruises, as well as it can be done the other ways. It's just, again, preparation and knowing what to do and who needs to be contacted, etc. I'm going to use the word planning. It's about planning and be prepared for it and that stuff. So.
Okay, Betsy, you kind of touched on this before, but could you just repeat some of the maybe common physical challenges that people experience while traveling and how they can prepare for that ahead of time, just as a reminder?
I have some new things on this list, because I've traveled internationally quite a bit, and I've seen them firsthand. One thing that we've already talked about is fatigue. So you don't want to miss out on the afternoon tour if you're just so beat. So preparing your energy level for that, or using adaptive options. Sweating. If it's a different climate than you're used to, or if you take a medication that makes you perspire, a lot of cardiac medications make people perspire more than even when they're just sitting there. If you're, you know, going through menopause, or someone in your troop is going through, if they're post or peri or premenopausal, that the sweating is real. And so if you still have some of those symptoms, borrowing a washcloth or a hand towel from a hotel has been a quick fix. If you need to bring something with you to dab off with, or bringing like those single packet moist towelettes if you need to freshen up later in the day and you're not going to be coming back to the hotel. That's a great trick to kind of bring with you. Blisters. I have seen debilitating blisters on trips, and it just is a game changer. So wear shoes that you've already had broken in and that you know that you are comfortable walking in, or if you get new ones, just make sure that they're not rubbing on any new sensitive spots. You know, wear the types of shoes that are or socks that are gonna protect your feet. Bring some Band-Aids or some moleskin, you know, something if you've got some rough areas or bony prominences that might be susceptible. Do not wear flip-flops even if you're going to the beach. Flip-flops are to wear from your hotel room to the pool and back, but not on the beach. You could really get yourself in a pickle with having some uncomfortable feet for a trip. Swelling is another medical thing that can happen. Sometimes if you're pretty active around your home, you might be sitting more on this trip than you're used to. And you can have an increase in your fluid level. If you're eating more sodium, eating out than you typically eat at home, then you might have a change in your swelling. So considering compression socks, making sure you're recovering at night, putting those feet up in the air, stack some pillows at the end of the bed and get those feet up. So there's things just to be aware of, you know, that helps you choose your food a little bit too, and your drinks, to not overdo it with the salt. And then having some back or neck stiffness from new pillows, new mattresses, new time zones, all of that. So doing some easy stretches before you go to bed and in the morning, and planning your day so that you're not miserable at breakfast feeling like you need to be in a neck brace. So just do some good general neck, shoulder, and back stretches before you go to bed and when you get up. That can help alleviate some of those issues.
Oh, those are really great. Well, Tristan, most of the time you're talking about planning for your trip, but there are some unexpected travel opportunities that come up after we retire. So what role does flexibility play in planning for that? And how do we remain flexible so we can do that and take advantage of those?
Yes, well, flexibility is great. I think it's very important. And when we have a great financial plan put in place, it allows for much more flexibility. And beyond the numbers, realistically, flexibility also comes with mindset. Retirement's not a fixed schedule. It's an everly evolving stage of life in health and family circumstances. I see all the time, maybe the grandchildren have a baseball tournament, you know, and South Dakota or Texas or something. And if you're planned correctly, hey, we can make the trip. We're gonna go out and see them. We're gonna make a family trip out of it. And having that flexibility is what makes those retirement years better. And, you know, I think at the end of the day, we all can agree, family's what's important. So when we have the ability to take advantage of these opportunities, I think it's very important to do such.
Good. Well, before we wrap it up and have our questions and answers, I'd just like to take a moment here and have you each talk about one last thing. What's one piece of advice that you would give to somebody approaching retirement who dreams of traveling more, or they keep putting it off till someday? What piece of advice would you like to share with us before we leave?
I'm gonna say just do it, start planning it. And I have two specific stories I wanna tell you about, of why. My mother, my whole entire life, talked about how she wanted to go to England. She did a lot of genealogy, and her family was, you know, she's very much had an English ancestry. That means I did too. So, but, and then she grew up, from the time she was like 12 years old, she was a huge Jane Austen fan. And so she really had talked about wanting to go to England and that. And just before her 85th birthday, I called her and I said, Mom, we're going to go to England for your 85th birthday. And she was like a schoolgirl. She was so excited about it. And we went and we had a wonderful time. We, you know, did the accommodations and stuff like that for her the way we needed to, so she could go. And she had just a wonderful time. And literally every time I talked to her for the remainder of her life, we talked about that trip. But the reason I say just do it is exactly 1 year from the day that we went on that trip. I was sitting at a scrapbooking event, scrapbooking that trip, and I got a call that my mother was on her way to the hospital. She did live for another 8 years, but she was it was debilitating. She had never been in the hospital before, except for have babies, so it had been 52 years since she'd been in the hospital. And had we not just said, Mom, we're going, she would have been talking about it through her 85th birthday and on, and then the opportunity would have been gone. So don't waste your opportunity there. And the second thing is, my husband, I was a solo traveler a lot of times because he'd say, oh, I can't go. Somebody needs to stay here and do this. When it's like, I can make arrangements for the kids to have a babysitter or whatever, and he would never go with me. I finally talked him into going when he turned 46 years old, to going to California, and he finally saw the ocean for the first time when he was 46 years old, and he caught a bit of the travel bug. And so I finally was able to he was down on a trip to South Africa because he just was worried about going, but I got him to go to a couple of places. And I'm really, really grateful for that because his health it just took a real bad dive, and has made it really, really more difficult for us to travel because he still works. He's just 63 years old, so we only have a certain amount of time off per year, and that's been used up because of his heart attack, stroke, other types of things that happened. He broke his hip last month, that's why I wasn't here. And so that window of us traveling together has closed a lot because of that, not having the availability, of course, to take off. And now it's gonna look way, way different when we are starting to travel. So just do it while you can. Find a way, use some of the wonderful ways to help prepare, and just find a way to do it. Don't make it to the point that there's just not a way to go.
Betsy?
Similar theme, just find the support. Use your resources, which this room is full of them, but find the support to do it. Whether it's a person to go with you, an agency to book things ahead of time, the planning of the finances to make it happen, or talking to a trainer or a physical therapist for what devices I need and how do I get my physical body ready for that. Just you've got a team of people, so use it.
I think it's very important that we don't look at travel and other experiences in retirement as we're gonna fit this in later or at some point, right? You guys have worked your entire life being very dedicated, putting money away. Now's the time to enjoy that. And you've heard me all day say plan, but if we plan for it, then we can experience it, we can have those experiences and have a good time. But honestly, at the end of the day, like you've heard it up here already, do it. And it's time to do it. Why not?
Great. Well, as we wrap it
I
up.
wanted to say one
Oh,
more
go
thing,
ahead.
okay? This is one of the things, because I love what you're saying with that, with what these guys have said. My mother always just said, well, but I'm saving that, I'm saving that so you guys will have an inheritance, an inheritance. And she used to always talk about her inheritance. And I said, Mother, please spend my inheritance and go on a trip. And most children feel the same way. Your kids don't need an inheritance. They can work on their own stuff. Go and enjoy the life that you've worked for as well.
Yeah, just go ahead and spend all that money. So, as I wrap it up today, I hope you feel inspired, informed, and maybe even a little bit excited about your next travel adventure. Now, Club is going to plan some other travel trips with our Savvy Seniors Travel Adventure Club, and we are having a meeting in Lincoln on June 25th at the Nebraska Realty office. So, if you're interested in learning more about that, you're welcome to come, and we will offer one of those informational seminars workshops up in Omaha too. So be on the watch for that, and we'll plan some fun trips together, besides just the state fair that's coming up. One thing I have learned from working with seniors and people through the years is some of the richest memories that we create are not things that we own, but experiences that we share. And the places we go, and the people we meet, and the stories that we actually bring home after we go on some of those treasured trips that we want to. So I do want to thank our wonderful panelists today for sharing their time, their expertise, and their experiences with us. Let's give them another round of applause. And now we want to thank our educational partners who make these seminars possible for you each month. And they work every day serving the seniors and their families throughout your community. And in just a moment, actually just come on up right now, the educational partners. And as you come forward, I'm going to have them introduce themselves. And they brought some door prizes today. Now, while they're doing this, I want you to take out the evaluations and finish them. Before you pick them up, take a minute to finish those, okay? Because you may have some questions that you still want to add to that. And then we'll pick up those evaluations, and the ones that are filled out completely, we'll draw from there. So if we pick one up and it's not completely, we might pick somebody else's. So, your comments, they really do help us improve these seminars. They have identified topics that you guys want to learn more about and help us connect you with resources that could be helpful to you. And after the door prize drawing, take some time to visit the tables with our educational partners and ask some questions and learn about some of these free resources that they have right here in their community. And these are all wonderful vetted people that we have asked to be part of this. And one of the things that they do offer is a free consultation, free initial consultation. So if you have questions, they are great resources for you. We hope you enjoyed today's seminar. And remember, next month, bring a friend. And it's always free, educational. And we do have a radio show now. It's called Nebraska Savvy Senior Radio. It's on KFOR 1240 AM. And even if you don't get it up here in Omaha, what's really nice is you can go to savvyseniors.com and listen to that radio show. And I have a segment in my radio show where it's called Ask Alicia. And you can ask me questions and I'll read your questions online. So try to stump me and send me some good questions. Okay, so do we have a mic that we can pass around? Okay, Betsy Dudler. So she's going to introduce herself and tell her what you do and then say what door prize she has. Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to skip over the first part since I've already been talking all morning. Just a bouquet of flowers and a small gift card to Hy-Vee.
Good afternoon. I'm Danielle Knudsen with Oasis Senior Advisors. And Oasis is an easy button for folks who are looking for senior living. If you're on the senior living journey, even if you're a year or two out, it's not too late to kind of kick the tires on independent living. Many communities have long wait lists, so I help with that process. I navigate based on location, budget, healthcare needs, and help my clients find the right community. There's over 70 now in Greater Omaha. Our services are free. We are paid a fee by the communities that our folks move into. And I'm Danielle with Oasis Senior Advisors. In this kind of boring looking bag are two of the most amazing pastries I had to give two because if I got one, you wouldn't share. It's called a cruffin. It's a croissant made into a muffin pan. So there's 2 cinnamon cruffins here from Reese Bakery, which is located off of about 120th and Pacific, and a Starbucks card because you're going to need some coffee with that.
Hello everyone, my name is Casey and I'm with Archwell Health. I just wanted to say it's nice to see so many familiar faces and welcome to all of you. This is your first time here at Savvy Seniors. Archwell Health, we provide primary health care for folks 60 and older here in the Omaha community. We have 3 locations, one on 90th and Fort. We have a location on 84th and Center and a location on 20th and Ames. I brought along today some adult coloring books and some markers. I brought that along last month and it seemed to be a hit, so I thought I'm gonna bring it again. We have some events coming up next week and the following week that I'd love to invite you all to, so please stop at my table and I can give you some flyers and just share a little bit more about what we do for our seniors here in the community.
Thank you, Casey. Good morning. My name is Mary Grossroad, and I'm your Senior Living Advisor with Claire Senior Advisors. I love what you said, Danielle, about being an easy button. It's pretty clever. What I do for you is I help you find the right retirement community. When you're starting to look, think maybe my current home isn't the right situation for me to be living in. And maybe it's not you, maybe it's a neighbor or a friend or someone from church. When you're thinking about looking into retirement living, reach out to someone like Claire Senior Advisors or some of the other people here on the panel. So we have a lot of experience in retirement communities. Some of us have actually worked in them. And we know the benefits of living there, making that move. We do the research for you. We sit down, hear your story, what's important to you, what your needs are, what your financial capabilities are. We do the research and then we set up tours and go on tours with you and help you make this decision. There's no cost to work with us. There's no obligation. Why not empower you with the knowledge before you have to make the move? And there's 5 of us advisors with Claire Senior Advisors. We're locally owned. My table's over there if you want to stop by later and get a cute little erase board for your refrigerator. Mary Grossroad with Claire Senior Advisors. What I have today is wine and chocolate for you to enjoy.
Hey everyone, it's Nathan Despain. I'm with Parkfeld Wealth Strategies. You heard a little bit from Tristan today, but we do some retirement planning and estate planning. We offer free financial reviews. And today I've got a $20 gift card to IQ Car Wash, just down the street.
Hi guys, my name is Samantha. We're Trusted Life Choices. We are a non-medical home care company. If you don't necessarily need something wrong with you for us to come in, we can come in and assist with organizing, light meal prep, light housekeeping, whatever you may need. Even if you just have a procedure at the hospital and you need a little extra help to come in for a brief time, we can come in and help you as well, or we can do long term. We are available 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So if you ever need us, check us out. My table's in the back. I'm Samantha with Trusted Life Choices. Oh, and I brought a cooler with ice packs in it. I think everybody should have one of these. I like to keep my water cold, so, you know.
All right, I'm taking the cooler and the wine and the car wash. Who's with me? Kate Jeske, Bridge to Better Living. You've heard from my friendly competitors. We help seniors find their next senior living transition at no cost across the state of Nebraska. Love what I do. I'm from a small town, southeast Nebraska. Didn't have the opportunity to help my loved ones find a community. They only were able to know about nursing homes, and so I am thrilled to be able to showcase communities to folks. Whether they're planning today or in 5 years from now, we love to visit with you. So I have a gift card to Starbucks today.
Hi everyone, my name is Sadie Hinkle. I am the program director at the Alzheimer's Association Nebraska chapter. Several of you stopped and chatted with me at the booth, but what we do as a nonprofit is really just connect people to the resources that they need and work to spread awareness surrounding Alzheimer's and dementia. We are also the #1 funder of Alzheimer's disease research, not even just in the country, but actually in the world. So you may have heard of our walk, Walk to End Alzheimer's. We host those across Nebraska. We have a huge one that's hosted here in the Omaha metro area. So yeah, that's really what we do. We have a great website, we have a great helpline, and we're really just here to spread information and help people. And today I brought a Stanley Cup that does have the Alzheimer's Association logo on it, and a lovely puzzle to help your brain health.
I'm Catherine Swinarski, and I am the owner and managing attorney of Elder Law of Omaha, and I see some of our peeps out here. We help people do estate planning that focuses on the needs of folks over 55, and we help people navigate the incredibly high cost of long-term care.
My name is Paul Cummings. I'm with Nebraska Real Estate Specialty Group. We're a senior focused real estate team, and these seminars, we put these on for community outreach, but what we do for a living is sell real estate. So if you know anybody who wants to buy or sell real estate, have them give us a call. And our prize today, we have some swag and a flag. So I've got a hat, I've got some cookies, American Pie cookies, because it's going to be our 250th anniversary, and so if you're going to be traveling, doing some travel, you have some stuff you can just put in the bag and take with you and show your pride, while you're American pride, while you're driving down the street.
Okay, so do we have all of our evaluations? Okay, do we have any evaluations still out? Okay, we'll get that one. Okay, otherwise we're gonna go ahead. Tristan and Flo here. Betsy, you can come help. You guys are gonna make a few friends here. And as we call, we'll just go down.
So that they're there when you come next time.
Oh, and Flo, do you have one? Did you introduce yourself? Tell what you have in your little bag.
I don't know what I have in my bag, I did a couple weeks ago, so there's tissue paper. But there's also, a travel first aid kit, a crossword puzzle book, hand soap, and there's some other things I know I dropped down the bottom of it, I really don't remember exactly.
Okay, so we're gonna start with the first one. Oh, we forgot questions and answers, so we'll do the questions and answers right after we do the drawing, so hang on to those questions, I'm sorry about that, thank you, Jane. Okay, so our first one is Betsy's door prize.
We drew Dave Torzon.
Okay. Okay, next one. Will be closed. Go ahead and draw one.
Terry Osborne.
Terry. Lorelei Costello. Lorella.
Lero?
Yeah, okay.
Guys, our winners, Melanie Torzon.
Let's do the lucky table.
Yeah.
Darlene, Esperin.
All right, next one is Alan Brogler. Alan.
D. Techronny.
All right, Katie's gonna take it to Bev Conroy.
Oh.
Lori.
And next will be Maggie McCarthy.
All right, last one goes to Anita Nickel. Anita.
Okay, so if we could get somebody to come up and pass around the mic, we could do a couple of questions that you guys have.
little tips to share from trips that I have taken. The travel insurance, in some countries, I have travel insurance, I'm going on a trip, and I was told in some countries, even if you have travel insurance that does cover you in another country, which I do have, they want it to be paid before they treat you. So one really good thing about that is in my travel insurance can speak all the different languages, and I have my travel insurance card in my purse, so they can pay them ahead of time, and then my company can translate all those. The travel insurance can translate all those documents so that your insurance company can cover that. So travel insurance is really good. The other thing is I was going to Geneva from Omaha a year ago, and they overbooked the flight. So they kept asking people, we'll give somebody volunteers $100, $200, $300. I was like, going to Geneva, I was not going to volunteer. No one volunteered. They called my name to the front desk because they found out I was the only one who had no luggage underneath the plane. I came up to the front. When they got it up to $800 and said they could get me to Geneva the same day, I took the flight, I took the change. But I got to Minneapolis, they said I was really close to the connecting flight, and I actually had to take the golf cart and just barely made it. But $800, I just want to recommend, I found out later, besides getting the free $800, which I did get, you can also, when they're in that position, ask for a first class seat. I didn't do it that time, but I will next time.
And you could also say, I would be glad to do it and offer them a higher price to do that.
Yeah.
So, yes, good for you.
My question was about insurance also. The first time, I've been to Australia 7 times, and I'm planning my 8th trip because my son lives there, so I go visit him. They don't visit me, I visit them. How do you decide which companies to go with? Because the airlines always have theirs, which I usually get now. The first time I went, I didn't have insurance, and I should have, and I was sick and I needed it. Learned my lesson. How do you pick which one? Because there's so many.
I usually offer like 2 different options, and it's one of those things. I personally am not a travel, or I'm not an insurance person, so I can't say this is the best one. But what I always tell people to do is look at them like side by side to see what is the most important. For the benefit part, I recommend if you're going to be out of the country, just in case they would have to get you back home and all that kind of stuff, at least have $500,000 on the medical side of it. And that is because it's very, very expensive to get somebody home if they've broken a leg on or some type of where your transfer is going to be different than walking on a plane and going back home after an illness or something like that. So it's more about what they offer, and talk to your travel agent when you're going to just say, have you worked with these companies before? Have you had people make claims with them before? And that's kind of, it's just like that you want to review. You want to be able to do that, but your travel agent probably can't say, this is which one you should do. We can advise you, and that's what my advice is. Take and look at the options and see what they truly offer. But medical is probably the #1 thing I really recommend people look at, because that is the piece that can really destroy a trip more than anything. And that's kind of how I do that.
What I was thinking is, there's so many of them now, and you were talking about the spoof sites and so forth. So I know that sometimes when you try to get airfare, there's a lot of different so-called discount sites, and then you read about them on Reddit or something, and you're going, okay, I guess I shouldn't be using this. Same with the insurance. Are there spoof sites?
Absolutely, there's ones that are better than others. I will tell you, so like with you said when you're doing booking through the airline, maybe even check the airline, because your son lives there, you're probably not paying for hotels and that. You might even look at that as well to see if it will cover their time in country, because if you do a round trip ticket, sometimes it will travel, it will look at that. But there are several what I would call prominent, really, there's like Arch Insurance, there's Roamrite, there's Bay, and those are some really, really good ones that are some quality, high quality ones that people use. And even talk to your local travel, or excuse me, your insurance person, they may even have a recommendation.
Any other questions? Right over here. Wrap it up.
My name is Bill. Hello, my name is Bill Grover. And what is the best way of booking an airline flight? Is it going through the airline, going through an agency to get the best price for your flight?
Usually, booking, the biggest thing to watch when you're booking a flight is what's included. A lot of people think, oh, this is the cheapest flight, not realizing that they're going to need to pay for a carry-on luggage. Now, I mean, that's right. I mean, that's like somebody should be able to have carry-on without a chalk card costing more. But yeah, just watch those. If you see things that are called basic economy, stay away from those ones. Those are the ones that can always end up costing you more. You can book directly with the airlines, which is usually is great. If you do it through a third party, don't go through like Expedia by yourself. Have a travel agent do something like that. Don't book the third party on your own. The reason is there's this thing called GPS, and once it gets into that system, airline can't do anything about that ticket if something happens because it's in that thing. If you have a travel agent that does it that way, they can get into it. But the travel of that. So if you're booking on your own, I recommend going directly to the airline and booking. Normally the costs are going to be the same. It's not like, it used to be back in the day, book on a Tuesday. That has changed. And so it's just a matter of just booking either directly with the airline or making sure that your travel agent books you correctly.
Thank you.
Are there discounts for the fees that you pay when you book airline tickets with travel agencies? So senior discounts or benefits, and what are the average fees to book a flight?
That is dependent on the actual airline. If we can, we put the numbers in. If the airline is going to honor it or not, it's going to be dependent on what the airline decides to do.
No, but I'm talking about the agent fees.
Oh, for the agent. So for me, I'll just say, airlines do not pay commissions. So I would say you're either going to find a travel agent that says, I don't book air, or they're going to be like me, I book air, but I have a fee dependent on where you're going. If it's domestic and you're including a hotel and stuff like that, I usually charge $75 per person. But if it's international, that price is going to go up because there's a lot more pieces involved. So it really kind of depends on what it is. But that is one of the things that unfortunately the airlines have taken away any commissions for airline or for travel agents. So they do need to have some type of a service fee for that.
But not discounted for seniors?
For the most part, no.
I'd like to make a quick comment on that. Get a travel agent. They're freaking amazing. I mean, I've got a travel agent at the beginning and the ending of each and every month. They send me hot deals, and you'd be surprised by how cheap some of these trips can be. And that's, again, part of the flexibility. Like I said earlier, planning, having some stuff set aside for this. But I know I'm going to Mexico in a month, and at first I thought it was going to be very expensive. And he hit me up and was like, hey, these are the special plans that we have. Do you want to go? And I was like a quarter of the price. I'm there. Let's do it.
Just had a couple comments. First of all, for the walking sticks, if you go to a sporting goods store, and they would have a wide variety of sticks that would be available, and some of them are collapsible, some are solid. And the ones that we purchased, they have different tips that you could put on the bottom of them based on what the terrain was. So.
Yes, yeah, it's good to try those out. Like an REI or Shields, things like that will have those available. Most of the ones online also come with those extra tips, which is nice. But I do like to test drive them.
That's where going to the store is a good idea.
Going to the store to test drive it. You don't always have to buy it there. If you find the features you like, and you can see it in 3D, and then you can find one online maybe that's more economical or a different feature that you like. But great point.
The other comment I was going to make as far as how technology is really advanced is that we were in Paris and we walked back to our hotel from being at Notre Dame. And they now have apps that has a photograph of the hotel you're staying at and gives you walking directions that has all the streets and turn left, turn right, and so on and so forth. And the phone number, you know, so if you really get lost, there's even the phone number to be able to call the hotel. So you really don't feel as lost as what you used to do, you know, years ago. So it's really kind of cool.
That's really good advice. That is a good tip. Well, I hope you enjoyed this today. Now, next month, we're going to be talking about real estate. How many of you own a home? Raise your hand. Keep your hand up. How many of you, if you don't own a home, know somebody that owns a home? Okay. How many of you know people who live in houses? The seminar is going to be for all of you, okay? We're going to take real estate and we're going to make it fun, but we're going to talk about things about how you can protect your equity, how you can protect your livelihood. And for most people, your home is your largest piece of investment, and that's your sometimes your retirement. So we're going to talk about that next month. And remember, life doesn't stop just because we get older. In many ways, this can be the most rewarding and exciting chapter of your life. So thank you for coming today and being part of Nebraska Savvy Seniors. And safe travels, keep making those memories, and we will see you all next month. Let's give one more hand to our